And this is far from Disney's first infraction, not to mention the Epstein connections. 2022, Disney employees and a former judge among 108 people arrested in a human trafficking sting. 2021, parents sue Disney Cruise Line for $20 million over the sexual assault of their 3-year-old daughter. In 2019, Disney cruise worker has been charged with raping a 13-year-old girl. In 2014, Disney Cruise Line fails to promptly report sexual assault of an 11-year-old girl. I mean, folks, you're safer just taking the family on the Lolita Express for the summer trip. You'd be better off leaving your kids with Uncle Touchy-Feely than you would be ever leaving them in the hands of a Disney employee, let alone anybody associated with the company. Walt Disney, in case you're not aware, was a high-ranking Freemason. He started the Club 33 at Disney. It's a reference to 33 degrees of Freemasonry, 33 years in Jesus' life, all that junk. They're really into all of the symbology. The happiest place on earth is filling their movies with all these paganistic, ancient magic symbols. You take a cutesy photo in front of the gates, you don't realize it's Haken and Boaz, the two pillars of masonry outside of Solomon's temple. They cloak the occult and in this veil of innocence. That's why Mickey in their font, if you look at it upside down, spells wicked. You can take a look at it for yourself. The truth is what they place right in front of you. The clues are already there. And the reason that they do all this, is because once you see it, once you know what it could mean, and you reject that truth, you submit to their control. You admit that they can hide whatever clues, whatever they want right in front of your faces. They can hide the child rape and murder symbolically in things like Pleasure Island from Pinocchio. Once we show you what we're doing, we have it in plain sight. You said nothing. You've given us permission. You've invited the vampire into your home. Folks, speaking of vampires, the real vampires is Disney Corp, the blood-sucking demons who will release Zootopia 2. To create a new generation of furries and to convince your kids to go on a cruise where they will go missing and have their organs steaming on an altar soon. People, Disney's coming for your children. They want your babies. They want them spiritually, sexually. They want them for Freemasonry. Disney wants your children and turn them into perverted slaves to marketing and branding. Image, that's what they want to turn your children into. And nothing's going to stop them, by the way. You got Disney Plus. You can't even fight it. Just like these families, I'm dead serious. Families hoping to make good memories on a cruise were unknowingly surrounded by alleged child predators working on the ships. According to law enforcement officials, 27 cruise ship workers, including from Disney, engaged in child pornography have been deported. Why wouldn't you persecute them? Maybe you just don't want the story to get too terrible big. I'm not going to make any assumptions that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to assume the intentions of everybody involved because that's the fun thing we do on this show. Let's begin this story. Go. Federal authorities have uncovered a disturbing criminal network that has been hidden within the multi-billion-dollar cruise industry and Disney, folks. They've revealed that families on vacation were unknowingly surrounded by child predators. This massive joint investigation led by Customs and Border Enforcement, CBP, has identified at least 27 Disney cruise ship employees across major lines who were allegedly engaged in the distribution and consumption of child pornography. Law enforcement officials warn that these individuals utilize the ship's closed-circuit networks and high-seas satellite internet to evade traditional land-based detection for months. Doesn't it sound like a great idea to take your kids on this cruise line where apparently you can avoid detection in international waters while you run your child pornography ring? Isn't it weird how predators are really attracted to the water? They love islands, they love cruise ships, they love boats, all that shit. The investigation has gained momentum just this week. It's suggesting that the problem is far more systemic than just a few bad actors. Companies like Disney have long marketed themselves as the gold standard for family safety. Investigators are claiming that background checks and internal monitoring systems have failed to flag these employees. And according to leaked reports from the probe, some of the accused held positions that gave them direct unmonitored access to the children's play areas and youth clubs. CBP officials state that the data seized so far indicates a digital subculture among certain crew members where illicit material was being swapped across different ships and fleets. Christ. Publicly, cruise lines have vowed zero zero tolerance and full cooperation with the FBI and CBP. But internal critics and legal experts are continuing to say that the industry has been far more focused on reputation management than root-level reform. Obviously, listen, these are idiots that actually think that cruise lines were designed to be anything that operated originally within the boundaries of the law. Go back to the days of riverboat gambling on the Mississippi. It was always the idea, we're going to skirt the rules by going on the water, because technically the water, it's nature's territory. The law just, her reach just doesn't come out this far. That's exactly what the water has always represented. For some odd reason, we can't agree that courts should be able to enforce laws out on the water. So people are naturally going to be attracted to it. It's like, it's the new Wild West. Waterworld is the new Wild West. We're going to have islands that we're going to realize are like little settlements. The cattle towns and whatnot are going to be like, instead of cattle, it's going to be children, and they're going to be moving like hundreds of kids a day. It's going to be like Deadwood, South Dakota, one of those big cattle cities, but it's just going to be pedophiles bringing in children by the masses. That's exactly what many people don't realize is going on in international waters. It's true. There are growing concerns that Disney in particular has attempted to downplay the number of its employees involved to protect its magic brand image. Folks, if you've ever bought into the magic of Disney, if you've ever been the type to get all doe-eyed over this, I'm just going to be honest with you. You're part of the problem. You're part of the programming has gotten to you. Whether or not your parents made you watch it when you were young, like Walt Disney and his occult imagery somehow managed to get you passive enough to where it's like, I don't give a shit that they're moving Romanian children by the masses in crates. Give me a Mickey waffle. Law enforcement is suggesting that the story is going far deeper. They're hinting that the next phase of the investigation could reveal even more suspects and potentially involve grooming tactics used on unsuspecting younger passengers. As the 2026 summer travel season is kicking off, the industry is facing unprecedented crisis of trust. Obviously, who wants to go on a cruise by this point? Whether or not you're getting a disease or your child's getting raped or you're getting raped, it seems like no one wants to really be traveling anymore. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is why I'm a good old fashioned like family road trip guy. I love piling the family into the car and going off somewhere where you know that you're not going to have to rely on like cruise attendees to look after your kids every once in a while because you want to go sunbathing or whatnot. Go to a scummy motel. You're better off at a scummy motel in Kansas than you are on any Disney cruise liner. You're better off in a heroin motel at this point than you are on most Disney cruise liners. Folks, federal authorities are urging parents to remain vigilant and are calling for a complete overhaul of how international maritime workers are screened. With 27 arrests already made and hundreds of terabytes of data currently being analyzed, officials expect this to be the largest crackdown on maritime child exploitation in history, proving that even the most magical vacations can harbor dark, dark, dark secrets, especially when they're companies run by pedophiles, much like Walt Disney and Co. is. Where this is a satirical show, we're having fun. Don't sue me, you bastards. It's you running the pedophile rings out on the water. It's your fault. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's not my fault that they're pedophiles running industries. That's not my fault. Not my fault.
The Walt Disney Company is speaking out after ICE officials nabbed several of its crew from a company cruise ship last month as part of a child pornography sting. Now, this federal operation is massive and it's ongoing.
And here's their message to you. A Bug's Life 2 comes out summer 2027. Get your tickets now.
Customs and Border Protection told the California Post they arrested 28 workers from 5 different vessels between April 23rd and the 25th. Now, Disney says they're cooperating with authorities, but noted that the majority of those apprehended were not employed by Disney directly.
Of course. Here's another message from Disney Co. directly. I have to read it. I have to read it on the show. I'm like their Caroline Levitt. Fuck you and fuck your kids. You're lucky we didn't kill them. Man, those are pretty tense words. I mean, just like honestly, like I wouldn't have said it, but it's what they're doing, guys.
A spokesperson told the Post that any who were Disney employees were fired. Quote, "We have a zero tolerance."
They're like, you're lucky we just raped your son. You're lucky we didn't kill him. That's what Disney employees are out there. That's the best defense that most of these companies have, by the way. It's like, you're lucky that it was just sexual assault. You're lucky that we didn't go all the way. You're lucky we didn't bring out the ceremonial dagger.
Policy for this type of behavior. Customs and Border Protection said that many of those arrested were from the Philippines, as well as one detainee from Portugal and another from Indonesia.
Portugal.
They also confirmed, quote, all subjects were involved in either the receipt, possession, transportation, distribution, or viewing of child sexual abuse material or child pornography. The agency has canceled their visas and are removing them from the country.
Good. That's a tremendous bit of news to hear that they are being removed from this fair land, ladies and gentlemen. Spread the news. I want people talking about this. This is why I made it the first story in this episode, because this is the one that they are trying to bury. I promise you, this video is going to get no views. This video is going to get no views, and more specifically, I'm actually going to clip out this section just so we can try to get it a little bit more traction. This story needs to be shared. This story needs to be talked about, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? If you are worried about hantavirus, I'm just going to say it right here, right now. It's exceedingly rare person to person. I'm just going to say it when it comes to the media overhype. I think that the eyeballs they want are on, they'd rather you be talking about a deadly disease more so than the chance that your next family vacation could get your child molested. That's really bad for Disney's image. And most of these, by the way, most ABC, news companies owned by Disney. Well, Disney primarily owns ABC News and associated properties, including local television stations, radio, and production news. This is fascinating. 21st Century Fox, they've also acquired a majority stake in National Geographic Partners. Very fascinating. ABC-owned International, all that junk. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going ABC for any of this, why do you think that they have been promulgating this? And by the way, all the people who own shares in Disney would rather their stocks not absolutely plummet because they find out that there's rape rooms being run on these things. They'd rather honestly just talk about, they'd rather get the next COVID talk going. When in all honesty, I'm starting to believe a little bit more about the idea that this is not going to be a raging pandemic. Nothing ever happens. And especially when it comes to the overhyping of certain diseases. This is probably going to run along the same lines as the Ebola outbreak that we briefly had in 2014, where, we got all sweaty for a second and then we were fine.